Two. Welcome to the Arthouse Legends video cast. This is the movie dude Eric. Along with me are
Kent and
happy happy.
Happy Valentine Easter.
Oh my god! No, April Fool's Day. Sorry, but yes, it is that day. It is that day. Yes, on this episode we are discussing Zardoz, starring Sean Connery, Charlotte Rampling, Sarah Kestelman, John Alderton, Sally Ann Newton, and directed by John Borman. Now, technically speaking, this really wasn't designed specifically for an Arthouse Legends podcast, but someone decided that they were going to challenge us. And as you can tell, yes, the Legends podcast, a few friends of ours that decided that they wanted us to tackle this wildly, atrociously artsy movie that was just panned on by critics, panned on by audiences. I think this is like on a couple of lists of some of the most all-time atrocious movies ever made lists, including the Golden Raspberry bad movies we love to watch, which I thought was kind of an interesting thing. But yeah, so we are doing Zardoz. And okay, so I'm familiar with this movie because 15 years ago, I saw a trailer for Zardoz, and I'll be honest here, it's one of my all-time favorite trailers. This is wildly crazy, insane, and as we talk about the movie, I'll talk about the trailer specifically because, yeah, this is crazy. But are you familiar with the Zardoz?
I only became familiar with it when it was mentioned to me, and then the promo picture of Sean Connery in the whatever the hell that is he's wearing.
You mean the banana hammock?
I'm not even sure if it's technologically advanced enough to be a banana hammock. But it's something.
Yes. So I saw this movie about 10 years ago or something like that. This was my first John Borman film, and Borman is a very unique director. And have you seen any of his other work? Excalibur, Exorcist 2, Deliverance, which is the one that gave him the chance to make this movie to begin with?
Oh, God. I vaguely believe I saw Excalibur ages ago. Let me double check his full filmography and make sure that.
Good luck. No, I mean
he's actually a lot of stuff.
He has, and he's made some pretty good movies. I believe he made a movie called The Tailor of Panama, which I actually kind of like. Excalibur is actually quite interesting. It's not my all-time favorite. I love the poster for Excalibur. That was what got me to watch the movie to begin with. But it's one of those things where the trailer or the poster or the trailer is better than the movie. We'll discuss whether Zardoz falls in that same realm. But the tagline for Zardoz, which I thought was awesome, which was beyond 2001, beyond 1984, beyond love, beyond death lies Zardoz, and it's one of my favorite taglines just because it promises so much, right? I mean, this is promising to outdo George Orwell and Stanley Kubrick, and it makes some promises here.
One more dystopian and one more special effects laden.
We'll talk about the special effects or the lack thereof. This is a very, very, very small budget movie, and one that, yeah, when I was told that almost half the budget went to Sean Connery's driver, I could believe it.
The driver?
The driver. Well, okay, so let me give you some backstory here because this is interesting. You see, John Borman, after doing Deliverance, was actually picked by Warner Brothers to do a live action version of Lord of the Rings, and he was like halfway through it, doing prep for it, when the floor dropped out and the project was canceled. So, but the thing was is that he wanted to do kind of a fantasy movie, and so he decided to make his own fantasy, which I'm assuming required lots of drugs from the looks of this movie.
It was the 70s. Come on. It wasn't lots. It was just additional in addition to whatever they were doing at the time.
I don't know exactly all that they were doing at the time, but it must have been some very powerful stuff for some of the stuff we see in this movie. I mean, we literally have a floating stone head as a main. As I don't know if we should call it a main character or uh, a vehicle, so to say. I did make the joke that this was the original Stone Temple pilot. Uh, I'm sorry, I had to. Come on, admit it. It was
Okay, if
funny.
you want to get technical, it's whoever's controlling the head is the
Zardoz. Zardoz is the
Oh,
one
yeah.
controlling the head, and since he calls himself Zardoz, I would say is a self-perpetuating head. Considering the fact that the first thing we have is the head of Zardoz, the actual guy who's playing Zardoz, and this thing breaks the fourth wall right off the bat.
Yeah.
Come on, this is. I mean, it doesn't wait even a moment. We don't even get like a logo.
Yeah.
I mean, the 20th Century Fox. They did. I don't know if they were just kind of ashamed of this movie and didn't want their logo in front of it, or if Borman was like, "No, we will have this. Will be a cold open." But all I know is that especially this floating head that's bouncing all around the screen, as he's talking to us about the world. You know what this reminded me of, and for watching it for this episode, I actually had this come to me a lot as I was watching it, but this felt a lot like Dark City. I don't know if you've seen Dark City. Have you seen Dark City?
Yeah, when it first came out.
I mean, almost all the beats that we see in Zardoz actually kind of play in Dark City as well. And it was just kind of weird. It's like, okay, well, this is a scene where, he's running from the bad guys. This is where he's captured by the bad guys. This is where he is given the exposition. This is where the villains help him. All the beats, even down to the opening, which is kind of interesting considering that this open, I would almost feel like it wasn't really even meant to be part of the movie. This was really there because no one understood what was going on. Right?
At the beginning, just to explain what the hell
Yeah.
happened.
Well, I mean, the in the theatrical cut of Dark City, that was the exact same thing that happened there. Was that the executives didn't believe that anyone would understand what was going on in the movie, so they forced a prologue with Kiefer Sutherland talking in that movie, and just giving away certain key aspects so we know what's going on. But I mean, it's like they kind of mention that this is post-apocalyptic, and if it weren't for a one particular piece of evidence, I would almost say that this is a fantasy world completely outside of ours, with the exception of just one piece of evidence, which we'll talk to. It's a major spoiler, which of course we're going to spoil all the way through, but no, I mean, yes, Zardoz. I have to admit that I'm kind of kicking myself. I should have known. I really should have known where Zardoz come from, but. I mean, just the title Zardoz, doesn't that just make you feel like an all-powerful like being, someone that could like crush you with the heel of his boot?
It sounds more like, it's 1977, 78. I just got or somebody just got the new D&D box set and went, I need a name for my wizard. Let me pull tiles out of a Scrabble hat and Zardoz.
Are there two Z's in a
I
Scrabble
don't
set?
think there are. That analogy just failed. But Zardo? Zardo? No, Zardoz. There we go.
There you go. I'll be honest here. I think that from now on, if I ever make mage characters in my D&D, they're all going to be named Zardoz, and I'll just
Zardoz.
like add like a numeral afterwards. This is Zardoz the fourth, the Zardoz the fifth. I mean, come on, it's just yeah, this is crazy. But I have to admit though, part of me was really intrigued by the first 10 minutes, just the jumps that we have in the film, from the floating head to the moment that we see Sean Connery's Zed, which I'm going to try my hardest not to make Pulp Fiction references in this. Uh, but no, it's just like when we see Zed and we see Sean Connery in the banana hammock and he's wheeling the pistol and just shooting mothers right and left. um it's like, yeah, this is some pretty intense stuff. And then of course he breaks the fourth wall and shoots us, so you got a little bit of extra fourth wall breaking.
He did that as Bond.
He not really.
Opening or
Well, yeah, I mean, technically speaking, we're inside the barrel of a gun, and the gun's pointed at James Bond. It's not that he's shooting us; he's shooting the people that are shooting us.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that makes it any better, but anyway, so but yeah, so when we see Zardoz, the flying stone head, the Stone Temple pilot himself, Grace says, "Did you see that coming?" I mean, of all things to use to, bring fear amongst the brutes, a stone head. I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, we're going to be getting a lot of we're going to be getting a lot of heads in this. We're not talking about just the ones on your shoulder either.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of penis in this movie. But no, I mean, it's just like it's just the way that this stone head just comes out of nowhere. And I mean, I will never forget what this stone head should say, which part of me is like, I don't know exactly what Borman's going for here. I mean, the gun is good, the penis is evil. I mean, it's like, I mean, yeah, it's like part of me wants to laugh just because it's just so awkward. I mean, you go from guns to penis, like, wow. I mean, you have to be at a GOP convention to get that, to make that kind of leap.
The gun is a phallic symbol, but then the phallic is not working anymore. In this
well, I mean, and Zardoz goes on about that the sperm spreads seeds of life and the gun spreads seeds of death, and of course when we find out what Zardoz is all about and what the society is all about, it makes more sense. This is a movie that makes more sense on the second time around. Although, why would you want to torture yourself on the second viewing? But I shouldn't say that because I'm fascinated by this movie. This is not a movie that I hate, but this is not a movie that I love. But it's like like a beautiful train wreck. A train wreck that's been mounted on top of a pile of explosives packed onto a volcano. This is yeah. Let's throw in some more phallic symbols right there. But no, I mean, yeah, it's like this thing is just so insane. And then of course we have that straight up jump from him shooting people to him smuggled into the stone head. I mean, this is like a complete jump. What did you think? Because this time around, since I kind of knew that it was going to happen, I wasn't so surprised. But what was your impression of it, just jumping from?
It was kind of weird to see him as, okay, he's going around, he's killing people, and he suddenly gets this inspiration to sneak in and figure out where all this is centered. It's like, you figure if maybe he had talked to some of his fellows and went, let's figure this out. I volunteer. But he just does it, and it's like, oh,
Well, I mean, it would have been kind of cool if we saw him like being put into the seed and then going up. To just have that, don't explain it, just have him doing it, because then it creates mystery, right? It's like, well, why is he doing this? But him just kind of showing up in the stone head. Although I have to admit, I do love the stone head set. I mean, that's a pretty awesome set, right? I mean, you have all the stuff that's there. You have people in these vacuum packed seals, um, because you need to keep them minty fresh, right? But um, lots of naked bodies, lots of naked bodies.
yeah.
I mean, this is not new for Borman, and this won't be the last time that he does this to, especially with Excalibur. But I just like, wow, I mean, this is some crazy stuff we're seeing. And then, of course, the guy that we saw the floating head all of a sudden shows up, and I have to admit, I didn't accept it. I didn't see this coming. But Zed shoots Zardoz. I mean, the first moment we officially see him in the movie, he's being shot and pissed off and falling out of his damn head. Uh, you know, I don't know if is that losing your head or did your head lose you, or I'm struggling. We really need to have Lobster here for the puns.
You're just not getting ahead in life.
There you go. Oh boy, but anyway, so let's talk about the lore of Zardoz. Okay, to the best of your ability, could you explain the story of Zardoz, or the lore? What happened before this movie?
Somehow you end up with a society with groupings divided into areas or zones that have a certain population control going on that I don't completely understand. Like, you have farmers who are sacrificing themselves and their crops to the giant head. And that's all we really know. And it's through Zed that we figure out the head is distributing some of this stuff around.
Okay, so one of the things that I'm getting from the zones specifically and from the vortex, because the vortex is really this utopian society, right? This is Panem. If we're going to kind of go to more modern day.
This movie has a lot of tropes that are still in use.
Yes and no. I don't know if this set the trend or if this was just following trends like before. I have to admit, I am feeling some Lord of the Rings here, and I'm talking about the Tolkien book as well. Some of the groundwork definitely feels like he's trying to build an expanded universe, so to say. For sequels, I don't think he ever intended to make, or for stories he intended to ever really tell. I don't even know about the prequel. I mean, we kind of get enough of the backstory, and I don't think there's enough there for a story, so to say. But I will say though that the way that the film kind of distributes this information is awkward. All of this is awkward because it's like, okay, you're psychically interlinking with Zed. It's not anything natural. It's like, I just want to know. Tell me now. It's not like they actually absolutely have to know what's going on. This is more of a curiosity. And so you really just have these sequences where, where exposition is doled out kind of in this weird, gradual way. And it doesn't really feel natural. The characters that are kind of going up against Zed, specifically May and Consuela, they feel like they're meant to be kind of his rivals, but they're not really, because they're really more his friends. It's like we don't really have any kind of definitive good guy, bad guy kind of thing, and that's kind of cool in a movie like this. But we don't have any real stakes. I mean, the real villain here is the AI. You know,
Oh yeah, yeah.
it's the AI that's keeping everyone alive. But we don't really even know about this until like halfway through the movie, and even then, literally, it comes out of nowhere. Like one thing that got me was is that Zed brings up the tabernacle, and I don't even know how he knows about the tabernacle, but apparently it's there. It's kind of like someone that's playing D and just kind of decided to throw their own little weight in there. You know, part of me wonders if Borman kind of made this movie with some D dice. Like, oh well, he's at this resolution. Let's roll. Let's see what happens.
Well, let's see here. 74. It's only been out for a year, so I don't think so. But
Who knows? Maybe he was on the ground. You never know. It was Gygax British.
no, Gygax was Wisconsin.
Ah, well, maybe he spent some time in Wisconsin. Who knows? But no, it's just that with this film specifically, the information is just told out really awkwardly and silly at times, and it's like, and on top of that, what do we think about the way that we're supposed to believe that Zed is like this Superman kind of like uh, awesome type guy, and he's a rapist and he's a murderer, like flat out murderer. He's a
As all of his tribe of people who hunt down people and shoot them for no reason other than Zardoz told them to.
but then we see him, you know, kind of like bringing about these people to do farming. And or was it that Zardoz required that they farm? But if so, then why was he making such a big deal about the guns and the penis? It's just like, you know, I'm sorry, but guns, penis, and farming just don't go well together. Although that would be my cover band. I'll just put it that way.
Wasn't that the Old West?
And well, we'll go. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it is a reference to westerns. I mean, there are some definitely some western tropes that are going on here, but what's your take on all this? What are you getting from how you're getting this information about the story?
It's it doesn't make it's not very well handled. It just feels like it's all piecemeal and he just gets it. He doesn't
Mhm.
have to have it translated to him through, oh, I'm just a horseman who shoots people, and yet all of a sudden I get what
Oh
this
yeah,
society is.
you're
Like,
dead on about that. It's like
yeah,
I am here and I'm going to tell you everything you need to know. I don't know why I'm telling you this, just because I
yeah,
guess I have nothing better to do. And the problem is that
yeah,
this society, the problem with the society is the fact that they are they're bored because they've lived for so long and they can't die, and so there's nothing interesting in their lives. Bad This is not good character building, because everyone kind of, I mean, Charlotte Rampling, who is an amazing actress, I've loved her in a lot of work, mostly her more recent work. I haven't really seen a lot of her older work, with the exception of a movie called The Night Porter, which I wonder if we'll ever get around to. But Charlotte Rampling is gorgeous and she's intense, and I definitely buy her as a rival for Zed specifically. But at the same time, she does look bored. Everyone looks bored. Even Sean Connery, who he's the only one that's really trying to emote, and I guess that in a way that's just kind of his character. But even he is wanting to kind of check out. It's like, screw this, and I can't blame him. This is some really daffy storytelling. Part of me wishes that he would kind of joke about it, or kind of like laugh in someone's face when they say some of the stuff that they do. But
It's-
you
yeah.
know,
It's the idea that the big part of immortality is boredom, and yet these guys could find stuff to do.
yeah.
Even I mean, Star Trek handled it better. when they had
Well,
a bunch of immortals running around, sitting around going, "What do we do? I know, let's have gladiatorial games and bet on them." These guys could have done the same thing,
but that
and they
was
don't. They just
well. They make a big deal out of the fact that these are the descendants of these like explorers that have explored all the known universe, which I don't know exactly how you could do that even with immortality. And if they had done all that, I seriously doubt that the Earth would still be around by the time that they were done.
yeah.
You know, so part of me wants to call bull on that one, but the other part of it is that I can understand where you're getting around with boredom, and I have a feeling that this is in a way kind of a dig at religion and the idea of eternal life specifically. Um, but at the same time, though, it's like this is mixing all kinds of metaphors. Uh, the use of symbolism is half cocked. Uh, the use of kind of experimental filmmaking just kind of takes away from any kind of compelling reason to get interested in the story. This feels more like an exercise than it does a film, and part of me is kind of like eating that up just because it's such a unique and interesting uh, exercise, even though it's not really a good movie. But at times it's so boring. It's so boring. Like everything after Friend's aging,
Yeah.
um, which okay, I have to admit though, I do like the idea of the major punishment being that if you break the laws, you get aged, and because you can't die, that means you go through the rest of your existence with. I mean, just think of it. Just think of eternity with arthritis. I would be wishing for death for pretty soon after that, and to know that you can't die, that's hell, right? That is heaven turning to hell at that particular point. And at the same time though, it's like I could see that being a major punishment. I will say though that considering just how awful a punishment that is, I'm surprised that they don't make it more terrifying. It's like, are they that devoid of humanity that the idea of eternal pain doesn't affect them? Do they wish it? I mean, I'll be honest here. The old people seem to be having more fun than the kids, right? I mean, they're running around and jumping and hitting people and tearing people apart. I mean, you throw in a good honky tonk and you got yourself a good time there, right?
You'd figure all these guys would have broken the law enough times if they've really been that old. They should all be in at least their 30s by now, unless they all started out as like 5-year-olds. And even then, you break the law quickly just so you can at least get to your teenage years.
Well, no, I think
so you can reach what's on the shelf.
Okay, well, from what the story tells us is that the people who utilize the immortality functions. They waited for their kids to grow up to a certain age, and then they made them or gave them the aging stuff or whatever, the age goo, whatever you want to call it. And then after they started using that, then they lobotomized themselves so that no one will know how to turn off this damn machine. Which
crazy.
It is crazy. It's stupid. This is all really stupid. The more you think about it, it doesn't make sense. There is always going to be someone who wants to survive. That's an human instinct to remove to remove agency from it. It's just promising that people are going to want to kill themselves. And it doesn't, I mean, considering that the whole point of this is so that they can prolong mankind's legacy, to me, it's like you're not prolonging anything if no one is growing, if there's no generations coming after this.
Yeah.
And of course they're going to want to die. This feels like that Borman had an interesting idea of characters, but he didn't really have a story that matched it. So what he did was is he tailor made a story to fit a conclusion that he wanted, and it doesn't make much sense
Hmm.
unless, of course, you're utilizing massive amounts of psychotropic drugs. I mean, let's be honest here, and it's just yeah, it's weird and both in a good and a bad way. But
when I finally finished this film, it felt like, and I might be getting ahead of myself here, but it felt like it would have been best been told as as part of an anthology series. Rewrite it as an episode of The Outer Limits, and just be like 50 minutes, and like here you go, and it would have been great.
interesting enough that you say that, but in the radio ads for Zardoz, none other than Rod Serling was the spokesman for Zardoz. Which now I want to go and pick up all of those radio ads. But I mean, the campaign for Zardoz is pretty awesome, if I may say so. Zardoz is weird, and it looks weird, and they play on the weirdness in the posters and the trailers and everything that you see and hear about it. That's actually very intriguing as a film, as a film premise, and not many films have this ability to just go, whoa, we are going to mess with your mind and you're going to want to come along for this journey. Now, obviously not a whole lot of people did. I had a feeling the critics were probably a good reason for that, that as soon as it hit like 7%, I mean, they didn't have the tomato meter at the time, but that no critic was checking out. Even Roger Ebert, who kind of appreciated the film, still gave it a pretty bad review. But again, there's so many different elements, and again, watching it this time, obviously, if you're looking at Dark City as kind of being referred to, or taking references from Zardoz, what does that say about the Matrix? And in a way, you could see the Matrix as well in that same light. But I mean,
in a controlled environment, so they give you what you want.
Mm-hmm. And you could also kind of see Dune in this as well. And you can kind of see some other. Oh, come on, you can. A sleeper who awakens. Someone to come. The prophecy of someone that's going to come and release the prisoners, who brings the outcasts to destroy the social order. The social order who wants to die. In this particular case, I'll be honest. Just thinking about this movie makes my head hurt. My head is hurting really bad. What about you? Did you find yourself needing some acetaminophen or some ibuprofen after watching this movie?
It was more like, huh? What? They're
more like a stiff drink, huh?
Well, I had those relaxation scenes where nothing was happening.
Mm-hmm.
That you like, and it lets your brain settle in, but at the same time, you're like, why did I just waste a minute or two of people sitting around a table going, vote, vote, and all they're doing is chanting, and nothing happens until they go, oh, we've made a decision. We did. Yeah.
Hey, Lord of the Rings did the same thing, okay? I mean, now they had trees doing it, but, it's the same thing.
Then we had other characters at least talking to each other going, what do you do? What do you think they're doing? I don't know. What do you think they're doing? Oh, I don't know.
But I guess with me specifically here, like when they age friendly or friend, because I was thinking Demolition Man of all things. Yeah. But no, when Friend gets aged, I have to admit, I was really intrigued by that. I love the fact that that this society turned on him so quickly. It was just like, no, I'm not going to chant with you. I'm not going to meditate with you. And just because of that, and his insistence that they decide that they're going to punish him. I mean, there's no, we see that they have trials, so it's not like there's no law and order, but they just like decided, right there on the spot, you're not going to do with us. We're not even just going to punish you a little bit. No, we're going to send you straight to the old folks' home. And yeah, that was very intriguing and very interesting. But at the same time, like, what? What are you doing here?
Which makes me wonder, is there a separate reward system too? You could age somebody as punishment. What if somebody did something great, which of course there's no chance to, but if you did and you have that much power, could you reverse it?
Well, if they did, then we wouldn't see it, but it doesn't seem like you can, or they don't give you the implication that they can de-age you. Otherwise, they would, the originators would have just de-aged themselves and, just hidden among the populace.
But the whole society's stagnant. What's the point of living forever if you're stagnant?
Yeah, well,
do something.
I mean, not to be too coy about this, but as Queen puts it, who wants to live forever? Mentioning a much better movie about immortals. But no, it's just, again,
It's
I mean,
could these guys chop off each other's heads and kill each other? Hey, oh wait, no, Zardoz is a giant floating head. It would be like religion to them.
Yeah. And on top of that, we don't need Sean Connery cutting more heads off. But no, it's just that it's just kind of weird, and the fact that the society basically just accepts the fact that he's this Uberman, that he's this Superman, even to the point where it's like, we'll tell you everything, but you're gonna give us all babies. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, where did that come from? And it's not like they've been building it up that he that he's been kind of given the ladies of this society the flutters. They kind of just see him as this thing, but like all of a sudden, like,
our men can't function. Well, what? Why?
Well, I mean, no, that I can believe. If there's no need for sex, and especially if sex is not,
it works from an evolutionary perspective.
We're not talking about evolution. We're not bringing any more logic in this than we absolutely can. I mean, Darwin would probably shoot himself in the head just watching this movie, considering all the things that they get wrong, and doing it in the name of science. This is the kind of thing that would probably give Neil deGrasse Tyson a heart attack thinking about. So, I just thought that, yeah, we visited every part of the known galaxy. I could just hear him, losing like 5 tons of his bowels in rage. But, yeah, you needed that particular image in your head, right? But oh man. So okay, so did you understand exactly why it was that Zed had to go into the tabernacle and anything that goes on in that damn tabernacle? Because what?
He's the only one brave enough to do it because he's not set in a set of rules that says don't do it. And kind of since he's the Outlander, and they've been saying we're going to kill you in a few days.
But that's bullcrap, because Zardoz or was it Alan, or I forgot
what is Arthur?
Arthur, that Arthur, they make the big deal about, he's going against our protocols. He's doing things his own way, and they make such a big deal out of the fact that he has agency, that he's not just following the rules. That he's decided that he made the choice to basically turn the Outlands into another Sean Connery reference there. To turn the Outlands into his own personal Oz. With more blood, boobs, and rape. But, it's just like, yeah, it's like, so I don't buy that, that they can't go outside the norms. It's, that this has to be them personally choosing not to. But even then, I'm sorry, it's just like it keeps defeating itself. It has these big ideas, but when it decides, it just afflicts them off as soon as they're inconvenient. But I don't know. What's your take on all this?
That it's all just confusing.
I need that stiff drink now.
Yeah, but well, what do we think about the origin of the name Zardoz?
Okay,
Zard-
so again, I should have known. It should have just made
Actually, I
sense.
kind of think it's a little clever. I I think it was a little bit clever on how it's done.
Well,
Like,
I
so
don't buy that Zed would understand. Well, I mean, first off, he learns how to read in what, 12 seconds. Oh, here's the alphabet. Now you can
I
read.
I'm hoping there's some like it was a year or something
No,
that
he
he's
says it.
picking up a
I've
kid's book and then
No, he says it
yeah
outright. It's like, I have never read a book before, but I caught on right away. They also make a big deal of the fact that he's a third generation mutant. So hello X Men.
yeah
Um,
yeah
where's Wolverine and all this? But no, wouldn't that would have been awesome if Wolverine had found his way into Zardoz?
yeah.
I think we need to add Wolverine to Zardoz. I'm
It would
just
have made
saying.
it a
Yeah,
much cooler movie.
we shouldn't be doing Old Man Logan. We should do Wolverine versus Zardoz.
Zardoz.
Then all you
Yes.
have is just this stone crumblings all over the place. It's like, I got your eternal life right here, but
Sabretooth is Zardoz. There's your spoiler.
there you go. But
Uh,
no, but using the Wizard of Oz again, I believe that that Arthur was that arrogant, and let's be honest here, he's a very arrogant jackass. Uh, like, oh, you'll never understand me. I am like this super uber brilliant person that is basically getting away with murder. First off, he dies at the beginning of the movie, so it's not. It kind of
yeah.
defeats the whole, I'm so brilliant thing. But when he does show back up, with his new body, even though he still has the penciled in mustache. Oh, man, I don't. What do you think of that penciled in mustache? Was that like just bad makeup, or
Does
was
it
that intentional?
literally take off like, oh, I'm a Scooby villain? Yeah. Look at me. Let me get some marker. It's
Well, everyone's wearing those kind of Egyptian things where they can cover their face with it. So it's not as though it's like he's this master of disguise. He's just utilizing what he has already. They're making such a big deal that he's this master of illusion. Yet he doesn't really ever do that because he dies at the beginning and then he dies again at the end. Like unless he's like not really. I mean, obviously he's not really dying, but it's like if he's not, actually doing illusions, then you're not an illusionist. You're not a magician. You know, you're kind of you suck, dude. You suck. Sorry. I mean,
yeah.
I guess you could almost say this about the movie. You suck, movie. You suck.
Movie. Well, yes. Okay.
But at this particular point, I mean, okay, so we finally, he defeats the crystal by shooting it. This is like the Fable 2 of movie endings, right? Like, you'll never beat me. I'll never die. Shot. Oh, I'm dead. Like,
how many bullets?
spoilers
does he
for
have?
Fable 2.
How many? Is this like the 6 shooter of infinite shots?
I don't know. This is the future. I'm assuming that they have like self rebuilding bullets or something. I don't know. I mean,
Actually, like we have guns, but we never give you extra ammunition for them.
or I mean, I guess we could say that this is Sean Connery, because let's be honest here, Sean Connery never runs out of bullets. You know, so maybe this is just Sean Connery's special ability. He's a mutant. He
Zed is a descendant of Sean Connery.
Well, there you go. I mean, maybe he has the bandana of infinite ammo. You know, throwback to old Metal Gear Solid. Sorry, had to. Uh,
Yeah.
but no, it's just like, yeah, this is bad. But I will say though that him just shooting the diamond, which I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen anyone shoot a diamond before, but I
I
don't
don't think
know.
it does anything.
I don't. Considering that this is, and on top of that, uh, diamonds don't hold information like that. Uh, Sorry,
The
it's.
power of crystals.
I mean,
That's
are
what.
we talking about Superman?
That's a
Yep.
crystal. Yeah, I think that's what kind of what they're going for before Superman does it. But in Superman, they at least say it's a special kind of crystal. Here, it's just diamond because we couldn't think of taking that logical step to say it's a special information crystal.
Well, it is a girl's best friend, but no, it's just like, yeah. I mean, it's just. Oh god, this movie is so inept in ways that it's laughable and cute in a way, but it's also really frustrating considering how seriously it takes itself. And this is not a movie that's meant to be jokey or fun. This is meant to be serious. This is meant to be Lord of the Rings serious, which in itself is like, that's where Dark City is the better movie because it knows that it's kind of silly, so it has some fun with what it is. And here it's like, no, we're telling a serious story about uh, what exactly? What is this trying to tell us? That life is precious, or that short lives matter more. That rape is good.
No, all lives matter. That's what it's saying. I
Well,
guess maybe
not really,
not really.
because I mean, because everyone, because people want to die.
Yeah.
Although funny enough, it seems to be only the rich people that have lived forever.
The immortality, yeah, all these plebeians out in the yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they would have liked to have lived forever. I mean, even the director who John Borman was the guy that Sean Connery shot in the face. Which, by the way, he actually got permanently scarred because of that, because the blank had a little casing, and it got him in the forehead. But yeah, it's very interesting to say the least. But I mean, yeah, those people would have liked to live forever, and I'm pretty sure that the women that Zed raped would have probably not wanted to be raped by him. I mean, he is Sean Connery, but I think that they would have liked a little bit more agency.
Don't kill me afterwards.
I mean, and agency seems to be something that this movie really doesn't think too much about. I mean, not just in kind of sexual relations, but in anything. It's like people have choices taken away from them throughout the entire film. No, you can't die. No, I will choose how this is done for you. And either you accept it, or if you don't, then you will be punished. And that's just, I don't know. I mean, this is kind of fascistic in a way. And I don't know if the film was intending to be that way. I mean, I guess, the marketing wants to say 1984, but I mean, are we supposed to be against Zed for his tyrannical way of going about things, or should we be rooting for him to stick it to the man? I don't get what we're trying to get at here. And this is not a film that is wanting you to really think too hard on the concepts here outside of the little windows that they think themselves. It's like, no, you're not supposed to go through the wall. You're supposed to go through the window that we left open for you. And
I think at best you want Zed to hit the reset button on the world, let it all go back to barbarism, and then build back up to civilization.
Well, I mean, we know that Friend wants the entire thing to go bye-bye. Yeah. He has no feeling that humanity at all has any right to exist, which, again, is really arrogant for people who probably don't want to die. But the way he sees it is that they know better than anybody else. And the movie never calls them out on that. It never calls them out. Although I have to admit, though, the brutes coming in and just basically shooting the rich people who want to die, there's a bit of satisfaction there. But even still, it's because they want to die. It's like it's meeting the need that the rich people want. It's not what they deserve, right? I mean, they should have their agency removed. It's like, oh, you want death? No, you're not going to get death. You're going to get what we want, or at least turn the tables on them a little bit. But no, we're okay with doing that to them. And then of course we have that final scene, which I have to admit I really like. I like it, even though it makes very little sense. I mean, first off, I love static shots of seeing progression, and seeing Charlotte Rampling and Sean Connery kind of age. Even though I don't buy the relationship at all, 100%, none, not happening. But
They don't really age that much until their kid leaves.
well, I mean,
I was looking at that, going, "Are they aging? Are they aging? Are they aging?"
they are, but it's just gradual aging, and then of course they zip through it. And I do love the fact that it zooms in on the rusted gun, as being the final shot, considering that guns played such a crucial part in the movie. But oh man. All right, so do you want to do some quick geek sheet right quick? Or
Connery is Bond. And
that's true.
also we mentioned the movie Outlander, which is high.
Well, Outland. Not
Is it
Outlander.
Outland or Outlander?
It's
Okay,
Outland.
Outland, which is high noon on Europa. It's one
Yeah.
of the moons of
Or one of the moons of Jupiter. I think it's
Jupiter or
Europa.
Saturn. Yeah,
Yeah, but
of course Highlander.
that's true.
So Connery has a good sheet already. These other guys I didn't quite recognize right away.
Yeah. Well, for one that I would bring up is Seamus Byrne, who is the he was the production manager for this movie. He also had done Far and Away, which actually is a pretty well produced film. I don't know if we'll ever see it, but yeah, it's actually quite interesting. But let's see here. I'm curious to see who the special effects. Gary Johnson did the special effects for this movie. You're not going to believe
What
movies that.
Yeah.
All right, so Gary Johnson, who did the special effects for this film, he would go on to do you seeing right, Saving Private Ryan, Braveheart. He did the stuff from My Left Foot. Well, My Left Foot wasn't exactly that much special effects. Excalibur, obviously, because. But Barry Lyndon, he did the special effects for Barry Lyndon. Wow. So yeah, he's worked with some pretty interesting directors and on some well famous films. So why?
Yeah.
I just gonna say you definitely. My hat's off to you. You show them, but I mean, this is a very small budget film, so it's like there's not a whole lot going on here. But I guess Sean Connery is obviously the most geek sheety aspect of it. But yeah, I would say if on the Arthouse scene, Charlotte Rampling, she was nominated for an Academy Award just this year for 45 Years. Swimming Pool, which is a mind-twisting movie. Who knows? We might actually talk about it at some point. The Night Porter, which will disturb anybody who sees it. Night Porter is what 50 Shades of Grey wishes it were. And I'm not saying that in a way that is entirely good, but it is definitely different. But anyway, so I guess let's go ahead and let's call it. Or do you have anything else you want to bring up?
Just two of us judging it. Oh no, what if there's a tie?
Let's find out. So, Kent, do you agree with the critics uh, on Zardoz? Do you think that it's crap, or do you think that it's actually underrated?
Well, I'm going to approach it from two different angles. As a general story that could have been somebody could have attached a red pen to and edited it down, this would have made a great short story to read in a pulp or a just science fiction magazine of the 70s or 80s, just to read it and be a short story. It, like I already said, it would have made a great Outer Limits episode. But it's about an hour too long as a movie. Uh, in this form, in this filmed version, it is like it is a train wreck. You only want to see it if you like want to see something bad. But I'd almost challenge a young director of today who's still in film school, grab a couple friends, go out, and remake it as a short film. Just do some rewrites, try and short film it, do the story, and you could probably make a good story of it. But in this form, no, no. Yeah,
So, I guess that's a fail, huh?
that's a fail.
You agree with the critics, huh?
Yeah,
Well, they already made the successful version of this. Is called Dark City. All the stuff that really what happened in that film is in Dark City. Not to spoil that film too much. I mean, there's a few different changes, but even to the point where a particular character all of a sudden gets magic powers, and a time when another character gets magic powers. Um, yeah, it's just um, yeah, this is bad, but it's a fascinating bad. It's one of those that I would say watch it, but be prepared for insanity. Be prepared for how bad it is, but check it out because it is fascinating. It's the kind of train wreck that you only dream that will come across. And this is one that I actually wouldn't mind seeing again at some point after, maybe getting some friends together in a whole lot of booze and watching with making fun of, because this is ripe for riffing, right? This is
yeah.
ripe for that for that kind of
Bro.
thing.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe we'll do this. Maybe we'll do a commentary track for Zardoz. That would be kind of fun. Not promising anything. Who knows? Maybe it'll be like next April Fool's Day. Who knows? But anyway, thank you. But yeah, this is a fail all the way. I can't. There's no way on earth that this deserves any kind of critical acclaim. They are absolutely right to be panning this. And I mean, Borman did still come back. He did Excalibur, and people liked Excalibur. And he did, like I said, the Taylor of Panama, which was actually a really good one with a non-Bond. He is his second Bond. Pierce Brosnan and Jeffrey Rush were in Taylor of Panama. And it's actually pretty good. It's based on the John le Carre novel. But again, very different from this one. And, less penis and less boobs. But we didn't even talk about the arousal scene either.
Yeah, that a little bit. Their explanation lacked any kind of sense.
Although I have to admit, though, that it would have been funny if we would have heard like a sheep baa at a particular point. And you know what I'm talking about. Anyone who's seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But it would have been hilarious. But okay, I need to get my mind out of the gutter. So it's April. We have a really awesome we have a really awesome lineup for you for April. We got some very exciting Arthouse movies. We also have a couple of lighter fare for ones that want to go deep into the meaning of things. Although in April we are doing Bergman. We are finally hitting the master of Swedish filmmaking. So please join us for that one. I believe our next episode is going to be My Big Fat Greek Wedding, which obviously the sequel will come out to much critical acclaim.
It was? Yeah.
Yeah, only to throw tomatoes at. But no, but the original did get a very high critic score, and it was still kind of a beloved film. So we'll see if it keeps up or if it lost steam along the way. But if you like this episode, please, by all means, if you're watching on YouTube, just click on that like button or subscribe. We're going to be putting up a lot of videos in the upcoming weeks. And if you're catching the podcast, go to iTunes, give us that 5-star rating. Just show us some love. But at this point, were there any other things you want to bring up, Kent?
Let's see. I will see into the future and go, headache. I'll introduce you to the puppy that's been distracting me all night, but he's busy destroying stuff right now.
All right, well then let's go ahead and let's call it a night. This is the Movie Dude, Eric.
This is Kent.
And Fiend.